Fluency in English is something that so many people dream about. Think about it. The ability to communicate smoothly, to share your thoughts without hesitation. I remember when I was just like you, struggling, feeling shy, and sometimes frustrated. Yes, I wanted to be fluent, but I was so scared of making mistakes. One day, my teacher looked at me and said, "You can become fluent if you practice every single day." Can you believe it? That one sentence changed everything for me. I realized that fluency is not a gift, it's a goal. And like all goals, you must work for it. Fluency doesn't come in a single day. Think of it like planting a tree. You start with a tiny seed, water it, give it sunshine every day. You care for it patiently, and one day that little seed grows into a big, strong tree. Fluency in English is just like that tree. You have to nurture it bit by bit, day by day. And before you know it, you'll be speaking with confidence. One day, a student came to me and she looked so sad. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I looked at her, smiled, and said, "Don't worry. Fluency isn't about remembering every single word. It's about practice. And trust me, you're doing great." Her eyes lit up with hope. "But how can I practice?" she asked eagerly. I told her, practice is everywhere. Talk to your friends, listen to stories, sing songs, yes, even in English. Isn't that amazing? Every moment can be a practice moment. Back when I was in school, I loved stories. Every night, I would listen to my teacher read to us, and I'd repeat each word. At first, I was so slow, but guess what? With time, I got faster. My vocabulary grew, and so did my confidence. One day, a student asked me, "Teacher, is fluency just about speaking fast?" I laughed and said, "Oh no. Fluency is about speaking clearly and confidently so others can understand you. You don't need to rush. You just need to speak from the heart." I had a boy in my class once who spoke so fast, but honestly, no one could understand him. I told him, "Slow down, speak clearly, and use simple words." And do you know what happened? Soon, everyone could understand him, and he became so much more confident. He actually enjoyed speaking English. Fluency really is like a journey where you take one step at a time. Don't rush. Enjoy every step because one day you'll look back and see how far you've come. Now let me share a secret with you. Are you ready? The secret to fluency is listening. Yes, listening. Listen to others speak English. Listen to stories, to songs, to conversations. The more you listen, the more you learn. I knew a girl who loved music. She would listen to English songs every day, and soon she started singing along. Her fluency improved just like that. Isn't that incredible? Let me tell you about something really important. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are your best teachers. I once had a student who was so scared of making mistakes. She would sit quietly because she thought everyone would laugh at her if she said something wrong. I told her, "Hey, don't worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson." One day, she decided to try speaking in class. She made plenty of mistakes, but she didn't stop. And with every word she spoke, she grew more confident. That was the moment she truly started her journey to fluency. Thinking in English is another big step. When you think in English, you start to speak naturally. I had a student who would always translate from his language to English in his mind, and it made him so slow and confused. I advised him, try thinking in English. Even when you're alone, think in English. Slowly but surely, he became more fluent, and soon he was speaking without any translation at all. Another way to build fluency is reading. When you read, you learn new words, you see how sentences are formed, and you get a sense of the language. When I was learning English, I would read simple books. Every time I found a new word, I'd write it down and try to use it in a sentence. I remember a student came to me with a book and said, "Teacher, I read this, but I didn't understand everything." I told her, "That's okay. The more you read, the more you'll understand." She kept reading every day, and over time, her fluency soared. Have you ever recorded yourself speaking? It's an amazing way to improve. I had a student who would record herself reading a story every day. She'd listen to the recording, find areas to improve, and soon she sounded so fluent. This is a fantastic exercise because it helps you become more aware of your own voice. Sometimes, having a friend to practice with can make all the difference. I had 2 students who were best friends, and they decided to speak only in English with each other. Every day they would have fun conversations, helping each other with words they didn't know. Over time, both of them became very fluent. Isn't that beautiful? They learned from each other and truly enjoyed the process. Fluency also comes from using English in real-life situations. When you're at the market, try speaking in English. When you're with friends, switch to English. The more you use it, the more fluent you become. I remember one student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. At first, it was hard, but with time, he became more confident and fluent. Real-life practice is so powerful. Curiosity is another key. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Look it up, find out what it means, and then try using it in your next conversation. I had a student who was extremely curious. Every time he heard a new word, he'd ask me about it. Then he'd use it as much as possible. His vocabulary grew, and his fluency improved so much. Curiosity really pays off. Having a goal makes you more motivated. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? I knew a student whose goal was to travel to an English-speaking country. Every day she practiced because she wanted to be ready for her trip. This goal kept her motivated, and by the time she traveled, she was speaking fluently. Enjoying the process is so important. Fluency doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. But if you enjoy the journey, it feels easier. I had a student who loved watching English movies. Every night, he'd watch one. At first, he used subtitles, but after a while, he could watch without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, he was improving his fluency. Repetition is powerful. The more you repeat, the better you become. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. He'd hear something in class and say it over and over. This helped him remember the sentences, and soon he was using them in daily conversations. Practicing with different people also helps. Each person has a unique way of speaking. and by talking to various people, you learn different styles. I had a student who was very shy and only spoke to me. I encouraged him to talk to other students, and although he was nervous at first, he eventually became comfortable. His fluency improved so much. When you talk about something you love, the words come more easily. I had a student who was passionate about football. Every day, he'd talk to me about it, and his fluency improved because he was speaking about something that excited him. Fluency also means being okay with not knowing every word. Sometimes you may not know the exact word, and that's perfectly fine. Try to describe it in another way. I had a student who would stop speaking if he didn't know a word. I told him, if you don't know the word, just explain it differently. This helped him keep the conversation going and stay relaxed. And now the question is for you. What inspires you to keep going on your journey to fluency? Fluency in English also grows when you practice in front of a mirror. Yes, it may sound funny, but seeing yourself speak helps you become aware of your expressions and gestures. I had a student who was really shy about speaking in front of others. I suggested, why not practice in front of a mirror? At first, she felt a little awkward, but slowly she became more comfortable. Soon, she was speaking more confidently, even in front of others. What if you forget a word while speaking? Don't panic. It happens to everyone. Just take a deep breath and keep talking. Sometimes the word will come to you later. If it doesn't, use another word to describe it. I had a student who would stop and freeze whenever he forgot a word. I encouraged him, don't stop, just keep going. You're doing great. Over time, he learned to stay calm, even if he didn't know the exact word. It helped him become more fluent and relaxed. Taking breaks is also important. Fluency isn't just about practicing non-stop. Sometimes your brain needs a rest. I knew a student who practiced constantly, and after a while, she felt frustrated and tired. I told her, take a break, relax, and come back tomorrow with a fresh mind. And you know what? She felt so much better after resting, and her fluency kept improving. Remember, it's okay to take a breather. Using English in creative ways can make learning so much fun. You could write a short story, sing a song, or even make a video. I had a student who loved to write, so every day she would write short stories in English. This helped her practice new words and sentences. Soon, she started reading her stories aloud, and her fluency blossomed. Creativity makes learning enjoyable and gives you a chance to experiment with the language. Teaching others is another powerful way to become fluent. When you teach, you're also learning. I had a student who was already quite fluent, so she decided to help her friends who weren't as confident. She would teach them new words, practice conversations with them, and explain concepts. Not only did her friends improve, but she became even more fluent herself. Isn't that amazing? Setting a routine can be a game changer. Having a dedicated time for practice keeps you consistent. I had a student who practiced every morning for 30 minutes. This was his routine, and he followed it every day. Slowly but surely, his fluency improved. A routine helps you stay disciplined and ensures you keep practicing. Remember, It's the small, steady steps that lead to big progress. Being patient with yourself is crucial. Fluency takes time, and it's normal to feel impatient at times. I remember a student who wanted to be fluent quickly. He became frustrated when he didn't see fast results. I told him, be patient. You're improving even if it's slow. He listened to me, continued to practice, and over time he saw real improvement. Sometimes the journey is slow, but every bit of effort counts. Listening is just as important as speaking. When you listen carefully, you learn how to respond, and you understand the rhythm of the language. I had a student who was a fantastic listener. Before he spoke, he would listen attentively, which made his responses clear and thoughtful. Listening is a huge part of becoming fluent because it helps you pick up on nuances and understand different ways of speaking. Keeping a positive attitude can make a big difference. Learning a language can be challenging, but staying positive makes it so much easier. I had a student who always smiled, even when she made mistakes. She would laugh, correct herself, and try again. Her positive attitude kept her motivated, and she eventually became fluent. Remember, positivity is like fuel for learning. It keeps you going even on tough days. Sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone is necessary. I had a student who was very comfortable speaking English in class, but felt shy outside of school. I encouraged her. Try speaking to people outside too. At first, she was nervous, but with time, she became more confident and fluent. Taking small risks helps you grow and makes you more adaptable in different situations. Observing fluent speakers can also be incredibly helpful. Watch how they speak, listen to their intonation, and learn from their style. I had a student who admired a famous English speaker. She would watch his videos and try to mimic his way of speaking. Over time, she improved her own fluency, developing a style that felt natural and confident. It's important to celebrate every little victory along the way. Each time you learn a new word or speak without hesitation, celebrate it. I had a student who would celebrate even the smallest achievements, and it made her feel proud. These small victories motivated her to keep going. Celebrating keeps you aware of your progress, reminding you of how far you've come. What if you get stuck while speaking? It's okay to pause and think. Take a deep breath, collect your thoughts, and then continue. I had a student who felt very nervous whenever he got stuck, but I told him, it's okay to pause. It's part of the process. This advice helped him stay calm, manage his pauses, and ultimately his fluency improved. It's also beneficial to practice what you've learned. If you pick up a new word today, try to use it tomorrow. I had a student who would learn a new word every day and then use it in a sentence. This helped him remember the words naturally and made them part of his daily vocabulary.